everyone. Welcome to another Mission Shakeup. I'm your host, Rebecca Lindhout, Adult and Children's Ministries Consultant for WMU of North Carolina. I have some awesome opportunities to share with you as we get started this month for WMU. Can you believe it's already September, y'all? Oh my goodness, this summer has just flown by. I have enjoyed my time with my children. I've enjoyed having my husband home. Taking care of my children because he's a teacher. And I hope that you have enjoyed your summer too. But as summer draws to a close, it does not mean that ministry in any way draws to a close. In fact, if anything, ministries around the state are getting ramped up. And so I wanted to share a few of those opportunities with you. The first opportunity I wanted to share is our mom camp. I'm going to show you the flyer right here. Mom Camp is a time for moms across our state to come together at Camp Linda Vista and to have some time away to focus and reflect on their role as a missions leader in their home. There are breakout sessions about spiritual growth, about missions, and about being a mom. And then we also have a keynote speaker in our three worship services. Her name is Joy Canup, and she is a very well-known speaker in the children and women's circuit across North and South Carolina. And her goal is to give women really practical tips and ideas for how to live out their faith the best that they can in their own homes, and it's with a special emphasis on missions for our retreat. She is just a wonderful person that helps you just kind of pare down things in your life and help you to focus on what's truly the most important things and how to do that. And so she is going to be with us as our keynote speaker. We have Wilson Worship with us, who led us last year, and we're just wonderful. And then we have several speakers from across the state who are going to lead those breakout sessions. And this is just an awesome time together. We're also going to maybe kick a little hiney and bazooka ball and do some zip lining and some other really fun just camp things because the kids shouldn't get to have all the fun at camp, right? So we hope that you will join us. That is November the 11th through the 13th, and the cost for that is $65. So you can register for that at wmunc.org. You can also register while you're there at wmunc.org for our Children's Missions Days. Those are October the 8th, October the 22nd, and May the 6th. May 6th registration is not open yet, but you can register now for Truett and for Linda Vista. And I'm so excited about what we've got going on at Truett. We have the local ministry team there who are organizing our mission speakers and the events that will be happening there. All of our events are focusing on ministry in Africa, and especially with Nigeria. We have a special guest speaker at Linda Vista, Dr. Caleb Oladipo, who was my missions professor in seminary, and he now teaches at Campbell University. And he is going to be talking about the role of missions in his life as a Nigerian child. He's going to be sharing about how missionaries led him to Christ, and he's going to be talking about how missions has impacted his life now as a missions professor as he has traveled around the world. We also have Pastor Patrick and his wife Claudia from North Raleigh International Baptist Church, and they are going to be leading us in worship there. They are from Kenya, so they're going to lead us in some praise and worship, and they may be bringing their kids with them too from their church. North Raleigh International Baptist Church is a church primarily made up of refugee children, and so they have a very special ministry there. So they're going to be leading us in music, but then they're also going to lead one of our rotations on life in Africa, and they're going to be sharing some of their stories. The kids are going to get to try on some traditional African clothing and just learn a lot about various African countries and Kenya and Nigeria in particular. And then they're going to get to try some African recipes. They're going to have a cooking rotation, a games rotation, and then a mission project rotation. So this is going to be the most fun. So I hope that you will register your kids for that. The cost is $25. If scholarships are needed, please let us know. We don't want any child who wants to come to miss out on this awesome opportunity. The next thing that I wanted to share with you is that coming up at the end of this month, we have our prison retreat. And this is a 2 day, well, 2 nights, 3 day retreat for prisoners across North Carolina in minimum security facilities who have basically earned the privilege of coming to this retreat, and they experience worship, one-on-one mentoring with one of our 32 volunteers, and a Dress for Success fashion show. The CWJC, some folks from there are going to be there sharing testimonies and connecting these ladies for resources when they are outside of the prison walls. And so we ask for prayer for that. So I can't tell you the dates in specific, but just know near the end of the month, you could be praying for our prisoners retreat. And this month, I don't know if you don't, you should get the Missions for Life planning guide. Oh, there we go. Sorry, if I didn't have my background canceled out, you would see everything on my desk, which looks like I'm planning many things or that something exploded, either one you want to guess. But anyway, Missions for Life is a very practical guide for each month. And it gives you a mission focus as well. And so for September, the mission focus is the Appalachian Backpack Project. So those backpacks are due on November the 5th. I know that you're saying, well, it's September, but you need to go ahead and get ready for that because, you know, so many other things come up in November and December if your church does Operation Christmas Child or anything like that. And I will just say that right now, toys are something that are a little more affordable. In fact, Walmart already has its Christmas toy guide up, and it has toys for every price range, and then it also has a new just clearance toy section, so that makes this a really great time. Backpacks are available now. Sometimes they get in the month of September, they'll be on clearance too, so go ahead and stock up and take advantage of that opportunity. Also in your missions mosaic this month, there is an article on pages 5 through 7 called Care for the Least of These. And it talks about Matthew 25:37-40, which Testament, and it is, then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go visit you? The king will reply, truly I tell you, whatsoever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Matthew 25:37-40. And basically this article walks you through different things to think about as you look towards caring for the least of these in your community, and maybe just a little bit broader than your community. And it gives you several ideas about how to love your neighbor. It talks about checking in on elderly neighbors. And that's an important thing. Being that person who is looking out for somebody and misses them is an important ministry that I think WMU is really well equipped to help with. If you had a shut-in buddy that you checked in on, that you assigned for your WMU ladies, that might be a great ministry, just to be able to check in by phone and see how they're doing and visit every now and then and make sure that they're doing okay. And then they talk about prison ministry as well, and there's lots of things. But one of the things that they talk about with prison ministry that I was not aware of, that you probably like, well, duh, Rebecca, that's been around forever, but was the Prison Fellowship's Angel Tree program. And it says that this is a viable opening to begin ministering to families with someone incarcerated. So if your church is one of those churches, or if it's not, but especially if you're one of those churches who help with red boxes, we don't want that ministry to end just with this box that's given. Can you further invest in the lives of these children by being a part of this? So if you will contact Prison Fellowship Angel Tree, they will give you all the information that you need to help with that project. And then again, it also lists the backpack programs. And the last one that they talk about is Send Relief. And Send Relief has a lot of different things going on, and I'm going to show you right now some of those things. If you go, I think it's sendrelief.org, you'll see it at the top of the screen. But anyway, that's a way that you can help with ministries to Kentucky and Mississippi to flood victims, also to Pakistan to flood victims, and to the Ukraine. So if your church wants to focus on reaching beyond North Carolina to the uttermost parts of the earth ministry, then go to Send Relief, because they're doing really great things both in the U.S. and worldwide. So with that being said, I want to jump on into our mission spotlight, and that is on page 16, I think. Yes, page 16. And we are talking once again about Puerto Rico. Now you might say, well, when did we talk about Puerto Rico? Well, I talked about Puerto Rico when we did the week of prayer for international missions for the Lottie Moon missions offering. And they had a journeyman, I believe, on there that was focused on, and we talked about a little bit about how Puerto Rico is a country really in need, and such a beautiful island, and I think it's called the Magical Island because it's just so beautiful, and it's a great tourist place. But what happened was they've had 2 hurricanes, landslides, and droughts. So how do you have those 2 things, hurricanes and droughts? They had one drought that lasted from 2014 to 2016. And so Puerto Rico has just been in a series of extended need for the country. And so Jonathan Santiago and his wife, he is the director of Send Relief in Puerto Rico. And he is working to strengthen communities, get people the help that they need. He's the one that is hosting groups that come in and helping them to get the housing repairs that they need. I think in 2020 there were still like 33,000 people who were living, their roofs were blue tarps, and so that number has gone down some, but they still are in quite a bit of need.
So my wife Jasenia and I have been married for 16 years. We had 3 daughters, Aliyah, who's 11 right now, and Amaya, she just turned 6, and we have Aliana, who we call Nani, and she's about to turn 5. At one point there was no ministry center. Now we have 3 ministry centers, and throughout the island we have staff at those ministry centers. And they partner with local churches and local pastors to identify needs in their communities. And then mission teams come from the mainland to meet those needs and connect those families to the local church. Along with the recent pandemic, we can see throughout the island how those situations and crises, it just raised the need across the island. So that's what describes not just the positive, but a lot of the challenges that we have here. Because of different situations, from poverty to different hurricanes, specifically Hurricane Irma and Maria after 2017, along with earthquakes that we had. And we know that as we serve the communities and as we serve those families and those people in need, we will have the opportunity to impact children, youth, college students, which is, a large percentage of our population. And what we want to make sure that as we engage families and single parents and children across the island, that we don't only meet their physical needs, but that we also share the gospel. So as you pray for Puerto Rico, pray that we are able to share the gospel effectively by meeting those needs.
And he says, my role is to provide those opportunities for people to be on mission, to understand that they were, and for people to understand that they were saved for a purpose. And that purpose is to make his love known. Jonathan said, I believe that God not only saves us from something, he saves us for something. He saves us on purpose and for purpose. It's not just about missing hell and making it to heaven. Our understanding of God's grace and mercy, as well as our understanding of his love for us, should spark a passion in us to serve him. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that what it's all about? We are saved on purpose for a purpose. And so that is a great take home for your ladies. Of course, we want to make this an interactive experience. So if you remember, or maybe you don't, Goya actually is a Puerto Rican name brand. And so you can get these cookies, the Goya cookies, at Dollar Tree. And they are very yummy. They have been taste tested by my children's missions group, and they love them. There are also a few other items that you can get on Amazon. Puerto Rican candy. You can get like boxes of Puerto Rican candy samplers for like $12 that you could share with your women. But there's also another Dollar Tree item, and that is coffee. Puerto Rican coffee is like air in Puerto Rico. Like the people just, they're so proud of it. They have a special process for processing their coffee beans. And of course, I'm sure this is not quite as tasty as some other brands that are from fancy companies, but the reviews for Cafe Moro online are really, really good. And Cafe Busto in your regular grocery store are both Puerto Rican brands. And Cafe Moro, I mean, I just think this is such a lovely packaging here. This is from the Dollar Tree. So you could have some of this Cafe Moro coffee for your ladies, you know, brewed. What a great way to integrate smell too. So taste and smell, you've got them all at once. But also, what if you got one of these for each woman in your group, and then they could just put it, you know, in their windowsill, in their kitchen somewhere, to remind them to pray for Puerto Rico and the Santiago family and all of the families struggling in Puerto Rico. So that's another idea. Or if you have a town nearby that has a alpaca Peruvian chicken place. I know that it says Peruvian, but one of the staples of Puerto Rican culture and cuisine is the tostones. And tostones are basically baked plantain. It's like almost like cornbread. This is what it looks like. A plantain is basically a large green banana, and you don't eat it like raw. It has to be cooked and processed. But it's so cool because you can actually see the plantain within the tostones. So these are available as a side at Alpaca Chicken. So maybe that's a taste that you want your ladies to have. Maybe make some cornbread and some plantain and some and tostones, and let them taste the difference. Because that's basically what tostones are, is Puerto Rican cornbread, but banana bread. Well, something like that. I don't know quite how to explain it, but it's kind of a scoop for all the goodness that you are having to eat in Puerto Rico. So those are some ideas. Also, there is on page 20, there is a Puerto Rico at a glance. I always love this. I would bring some pictures of the Cathedral San Juan Bautista. I'm going to show that right here. And it's gone through a lot of restoration, but really it is a rare example, it says, of medieval architecture in the Americas. So, and it's still a working cathedral. And so I think that's something that the ladies would be interested in. And then also it gives you some background, but maybe bringing in some ice cream. One of the things that they talk about is a famous ice cream store that has unusual ice cream flavors. So maybe bring in an unusual ice cream flavor for your ladies to try. And then let's see here. It also talks about the national animal. Well, not animal. It's really like the mascot. Isn't that interesting? Of Puerto Rico is the coqui frog, and it gets this name because of the chirp that it makes like a cricket. So, I'm going to put online a sound bite of a coqui, and also often that's what children. That's a nickname for children in Puerto Rico, especially little boys. To be called a coqui is pretty common. So that's another interesting little point to make with your ladies. I also wanted to make mention of the fact that we have a new project help. Well, you can't really see it like this. And that is mental health. Our new project help is a focus on mental health. And since the pandemic, I think the statistic is that there are 25 million people in America who suffer from anxiety or some sort of mental health disorder. And so that is a huge number, and which means that basically, I guess, like 1 in 5 Americans suffer somehow with some mental health um, issue. You to really focus on in this is the church's response. And we are reading a book together called Troubled Minds on Staff. I would really encourage you to read this book as well. And one of the things that it talks about is that when someone has a baby, you bring them a casserole. If someone is sick or their family is in the hospital, you bring a casserole. If someone passes away, you bring a casserole or you bring food. You organize the meal trains. You go and you visit. But oftentimes when people suffer from mental health disorders, when they are dealing with a mental sickness, the knee-jerk reaction is to avoid. And so oftentimes people who have mental health issues and their loved ones are often very lonely because people are afraid sometimes. But so one of the things that they are encouraging us is to educate ourselves as WMU groups to help be that open book so that people realize that this is not something to be ashamed of. So much of this is because of things that have happened in your life, or basically the chemical makeup in your brain has changed, like how your brain functions and works chemically changes when you are depressed and overly anxious. And so this is not something that somebody can control and just say, stop this right now. This is something that has to be worked through and sometimes medicated through. And we have to be part of the group that says, we are here with you in this journey. And then it says, cultivate certified mental health first aid practitioners in the church. And they give you a website there on page 25 of how to do that. And then also maybe your WMU group can be those people who say, this person is struggling. This person is clearly dealing with depression, or this mom has PTSD, not PTSD, post-traumatic. Well, maybe she has PTSD, but postpartum depression. Is there a way that we can step in and join them on that journey and help them? Maybe we'll be the first ones to bring the casserole. So that's my prayer, that we would be the first ones to bring the casserole. And the last thing I want to do is just leave you with a little bit of encouragement. I think that sometimes we think that our groups are too small, or maybe you have an aging group and you say, well, our ladies are too old to go and do many things, like maybe get on a plane to Puerto Rico. But I think that on page 12, missions is my heart. It's the story of a 93-year-old woman in Mississippi who started a homeless guest house at the age of 90. She turned away someone at her door who needed a place to stay for 2 weeks and told them that she couldn't accommodate them. And then she said, I felt like I turned away Jesus. And so she started this guest house which last year I think served 27 women. But listen to the name of this, y'all. You are going to love it. Her name is Emma, and her guest house is called Guest House of Hope, and which stands for God Using Emma Stewart's Talents. So how can God use your talents? How can God use Rebecca Lindhout's talents? Um, this lady was had been a WMU president in her church. At 80 years old, she was she went to Romania, Peru, Haiti, Canada, and Honduras in her 80s. So ladies, you are still amazing. If your group is aging, it is an amazing aging, and God is still fully in control and still fully wants to use you. You have probably more time than a person in their 40s, and who's raising families. God has blessed you for this season of life. And I just think that you will find this article on page 12 and 13 just a wonderful, uplifting experience to share with your young ladies in your group. So make it taste good, make it smell good. Maybe make it look good. Do a comparison with tostones and your cornbread, and then look for those opportunities to serve locally through the Appalachian Backpack Program and through Red Boxes, and get your training. There are also coming up very soon. We've had some trainings for associational directors and associational leaders and statewide leaders. And so if you haven't gone to those, there's one more coming up. And then the ones that you may have missed are going to be available online. So check that out at wmunc.org. And I'm going to have the video for Jonathan, not Baptista. So I hope that you will be inspired. I hope you will be motivated. I hope that your group will just really be on fire this year in this post-COVID world to really reach out in Jesus' name. And so I hope that you will be inspired by Miss Emma, and that you will also look for those ways to lead your group to be on fire for missions. And I can't wait to hear how you've done it. So email me after you get through and say, hey, look what we did. And I will be there to cheer you on and hopefully put that in Tar Heel Talk for you. So have a great September, and I will see you next time.